Hey team, welcome to week 31 of our fundamental yearly drawing challenge. I don't really know what it is anymore, I just know we are learning. So, this week on our flowers, we're going to do a lily. And we're going to do it slightly differently in terms of shading and in terms of how we start it. So, we're going to use a bit of a skeleton simple form method, which sounds super poncy, but it will make sense when we start the drawing. So grab your pencils and let's get started. So it's quite a complicated flower, this one. It's layered and it has petals going in loads of different directions. Now, we've tried a few different ways to draw this before. We've tried doing rectangles, we've tried just drawing it freehand, but this time I want you to imagine each petal has a skeleton. And all you want to do is think about the spine of each petal, so the center point ideally. And then what you're going to do is add these lines going in the directions that the petal is facing, followed by the outline of the petal. So it's a really good way for you to situate where your petals are and to have some sort of structure to add to. If you were doing this in life drawing, you would imagine the bone, for example, going through the calf, and then you can add the meat on top of that. So in this case, it's the vein going through the middle of the petal, which I guess doesn't really exist, but it does in leaves. And then you're adding the structure around that. So it's a really good and interesting method to try for this flower. So tidy it up and remove your spine lines. It feels weird saying that now, but this just helps you to clear it away and focus on getting the lines as good as they can be. Now, I have no idea why my camera keeps moving around because it was on a very stable device, so my apologies for the seasickness you might about to be encountering. Okay. Once you've got that, you do want to add this weird fold that's right in the middle of the leaf. And they kind of bend with the leaf as well. So you're looking at where they start to taper off, or maybe where there's a slight bend in them. And then you're going to add that to your petals. Once you've done that, the fun bit begins. So you start building up the layers just with simple lines. You use your 2B to start, and then you'll add your 8B. So you might want to do 3 layers. Think the 2B does the light layer underneath, and then it can go a little bit darker, and then you want to add your 8B where there's really dark pockets of shade. This will happen really, really quickly, and it is a really fun way to shade, but you want to go easy on it, so try not to be heavy-handed. Try and keep some of the lines so you can see them as well, because I think that adds to the texture of the petal, especially when you can see these grooves in each individual petal. So your task at this point is to work your way around each petal. Think 2B a light layer to start, and you can either do one petal at a time, or you can go around in sections. So if you know for this whole round, every single petal, you're going to go light. That can be almost like a rehearsal stage. And then you can go over it again, push it a little bit darker, and then go over the whole thing for a third time, getting those 8B nuggets in there. So it's up to you how you approach this, whether you do individual petals or you go around the whole thing as a light layer, medium layer, dark layer, right to the end. Now, once you've done that, it looks a bit weird without any detail in the middle. So what we want to do is try and get this circle of stamens. I think there's 6. Would they be stamens or stigmas? I don't know. I feel like both parts of the flower are in this one. So you want to get those in, and instead of doing light tubes that come from the dark orange bits, I actually just went for black. Cheating, I don't know. But that should really start to bring things together. And then the final thing you can do is use your 2H just to go over all the individual petals, because we don't have that much white. Even though it is a white flower, it doesn't mean that it is just left white. And we've gone through this in so many occasions, but your 2H, you want to keep it the same method. So you're just doing these stripes and you're coming out of those dark parts. And it'll also help just to blend any harsh lines that you've got too. So go over the whole thing now with your 2H. Again, looking at pressure. Is something light? Is something dark? Don't just shade it all with the same pencil. You want to make sure that you are adding the texture and the lines and alternating on how much you press for your petal. And finally, I know, I have to say it though, if you do like these videos, head on over to Patreon and you can support me with just £3 a month. Okay team, well done on this week because it's slightly different and it is actually really challenging. So I hope you enjoyed that and I hope to see you again next week for another lesson. What is it, week 31? Wow, well done you.